was son of Eric, former St Helens star. We're underway then here at the Boulevard for this Stones Bitter Championship battle that could have a real bearing on St Helens' chances at the top of the table. A mild night, a blowy night, and those conditions could be important. And I must say, having first of all now seen the Hull jerseys, those numbers are totally contrary to rugby league rules this season. They're supposed to be black numbers on a white background if you're on stripes. They are white on black and white. We will do our best, and how on earth the supporters are supposed to make out who's playing, the Lord alone knows. But they've totally disregarded rugby league rules. That's Chico Jackson going down under that challenge. Mike Dixon is the dummy half. This now is Hasler, the long hair flowing in the wind. Well caught by Riley. He tries and runs that ball out. Phil Vevers from the dummy half position. Good tackling, good defence by those four.
That's the type of defence that Hull must look to in these opening minutes. They really have got to get amongst the St Helens side, give them plenty to think about, try to just put them off their game plan.
Andy Dannett, first touch back at the Boulevard for him. Look at the swarm of black and white jerseys that go in to challenge Dannett. There were 7 of them then. Vevers with the kick downfield. First bounce, it's Richard Gay. And Vevers, Bernard Dwyer, the man coming up to do the tackling.
Well, we said that Andy Dannett would get a very warm reception. I don't think he expected that 7 Hull players would go for him.
Tim Street pushes Shane Cooper away. Griffiths is there, but there's Andy Dannett. A hot reception indeed. Here's Hasler. He really has run the show for the early birds this season. Ball comes free, but it went backwards. John Connolly says play on. Mike Dixon couldn't believe his luck.
And rightly so. That was a good decision by John Connolly. Hasler had got that ball away before he was grounded, so that's play on. The ball went backwards.
That's Anthony Jackson. He's normally a second rower, having to play in the prop forward position tonight because of the crisis in the front row on Humberside. The ball hits the line. You saw the whitewash come up, but that is out.
Yes, the whitewash or the line is classed as outside the playing area. So that means the ball come back. Because it was on the last, that will be the turnover. That's why St Helens just tapped it. But quite openly, you can see that the tactics from Hull, that's the second occasion that the kicking has gone towards Mike Riley. They obviously feel that Riley not up to the standard.
This is George Mann. He most certainly is up to the standard. But a hot reception waited for him as well. Tim Street there gritting his teeth, getting to grips with Mann, and a bit of a confrontation between the two big forwards right away, and they're still carrying on the discussion as this ball is picked up by Richard Gay.
Yeah, they had plenty to say to each other, but good work by Bernard Dwyer, the St Helens hooker. He ran between them and says, let's get on with the game.
This is a lovely run from Paul Eastwood, the man in his benefit year. His testimonial brochure's on sale, and would you believe he's put up a prize to Australia for the tour in that brochure. You have to speculate to accumulate. Dixon at dummy half. Here's Jackson again, running strongly. The last tackle for Hull. They're still 30 metres from the Saints' posts. They're running it though with Hasler. Long pass out to that far side. Ball back inside. And that's James Grant, who was grounded. Who got the ball back in field anyway to Gary Nolan. George Mann to Cooper. A mistake from Chris Joynt under pressure. It was a great chase.
Well, that's very encouraging for the Hull side. The second rower, Rob Wilson, coming in quickly. Chris Joynt just took his eyes off the ball, knew that it was under pressure. That's the type of play that Hull was looking for.
Hasler gets the ball and then finds Jeff Doyle. Doyle gets away from his opposite number, Phil Vevers, but couldn't get away from the second tackler that was Joynt. Here's Danny Devey. This is good pressure from Hull. Important early minutes here. We've had 5 minutes now, 0-0. Street trying to turn this match for Hull in the opening moments with a try, but just held out by that Saints defence. Here's Hasler again. John Sharp, the captain, gets the ball away. They're keeping it alive well. That was Nolan grounded by Cooper. John Sharp again disappearing under that challenge. Dixon, the dummy half on last tackle. The ball bounces off the ankles of a Saints player. Hasler went for it.
Nice kick from Hasler. You could see the problems, but great play by the youngster, Steve Prescott. He put his body on the line. You could see him put his body in between the attackers coming towards him. No chance of the ball being ricocheted away. Very brave play indeed, and he took a bad knock too.
Now Sonny Nicol. He was stopped by Des Hasler, who jumped to make the tackle and was pushed at exactly the same time by Nicol. It's a rough start to this game. Uncompromising stuff from the two packs of forwards. St Helens dropped that point at Halifax last Friday. They've only won 4 of 15 visits to the Boulevard in the First Division. It's a record they must improve tonight. But Hull want the points for themselves. Offside. They'd strayed inside the 10-metre zone. They must give the man in possession of the ball 10 metres when they have been kicked forward.
Well, you can see there that he took his time, did the fullback Richard Gay, realising that the forwards were offside. There's only one way that they can become onside, and that's when the kicker runs past all his players. That allows them to play on, doesn't matter what position they are in the field. But the downtown rule giving Hull the penalty.
And they're back in possession again with Jackson. It's Griffiths and Nicol, the tacklers. Mike Dixon, the man who's grasped the opportunity at hooker with both hands since Lee Jackson departed. Tim Street's pass, not a good one, but John Sharp is able to pick up the pieces. Hasler in at dummy half now. Here's Danny Dive. Good run from the Frenchman. Good ball too inside. And it's Rob Wilson. Dixon seen plenty of the ball already. This is Nolan. It's Rob Nolan. And he got the ball away to James Grant. Hasler. That's a good ball. Gay's chimed into the line. He's been doing this so often this season for Hull. Danger every time he gets the ball. Danger when Hasler has it too. High kick. A big test for the young full-back this. Oh, but didn't he take it well? Oh, super prospect, Stephen.
Certainly is a talented player there. Any youngster watching that youngster go up for the ball, there was no one going to get to him before that. He was fully committed.
Two sides here tonight fully committed. Hull and St Helens 0-0. 8.5 minutes gone. The ferocity of these challenges, though, from Hull are forcing St Helens to spill the ball in the tackle, and luckily for the Saints, the ball's going backwards. Dannett, Jackson took a swing at Andy Dannett, and there's a bit of eyeball to eyeball there.
Well, that was silly play there by Anthony Jackson. Look at that. Nowhere near giving Dannett one. He tried again, then went with the elbow. All right, we said he was going to get it. Bit of a warm reception, Andy Dannett. No one has to tell him any more than Dannett. He's aware of it. But he'll just smile all the way to the bank if they keep giving penalties away like that. And also, when they have players coming in like we saw in the first tackle, when 7 players goes in. Quick play of the ball, and Hull's defence could be in a lot of trouble.
First chance, perhaps, for St Helens to attack with Bernard Dwyer, but he's all wrapped up. Jackson again, and using the face of Bernard Dwyer to lever himself up to his feet. Here's Dannett once more. Well, the big man is certainly not shirking the challenges, is he? Cooper to Vivers. Nicol, that was a lovely ball. Nicol took that to himself. It's legal. Play on, says referee Connolly. Sonny Nicol, one of 2 men sent off when St Helens were last up here on Humberside on the opening day of the season at Hull Kingston Rovers. Dwyer with the long pass to George Mann. Mann trying to get away. still standing and gets the ball to Prescott. 10 minutes gone, still no score here at the Boulevard. Saints on the last tackle. Griffiths with the outside of the boot. That's quite intelligent play, and it was bravery from Richard Gay.
Super play again. We saw from the other side Steve Prescott do the same thing. This time Richard Gay, the fullback, put his body on the line. That was excellent play by the fullback.
Dixon running it out for Hull. I was talking to Roy Simmons this morning about Richard Gay, saying he certainly benefited from his time with St George in the summer. There's no doubt about that, and it's a question also, Steve-O, that when he was in Australia, he saw just how professional the game is over there, and Gay has lifted his standards and everyone at this club.
Well, there's little doubt that Richard Gay has been the best player or most consistent player this season for the Boulevarders, and he's chiming into the three-quarter line a lot more confident than he has done in the past.
Steve Prescott. It was a risky run across the face of play. Sullivan. Good tackle by Street, helped out by Jackson. Dwyer. Neal was the runner. Dwyer back to Dannett.
Pretty impressed with the St Helens in the last 5 minutes. We saw last Friday against Halifax. They didn't put on one set move the entire 80 minutes. We've seen them go through 3 moves already in the first 11.
Here's Vivers. Takes it back down the short side. It bounces off the legs of Danny Dive.
Well, is it deemed that by the referee John Connolly that Dive did actually make a strike for that? We'll have to wait and see what decision is made in regards to whose head and ball. Well, he's decided perhaps that Dive did make a move with his leg to try to stop that ball, so therefore once he makes a movement for the ball and the bounce goes in, this will be a Saints feed and head.
John Neal is receiving treatment from Jeanette Smith, the St Helens physio. Maybe a dislocated thumb in the opening 12 minutes here, and he takes his place in the pack. It was St Helens head and feed, and this is Vivers. So Dive was adjudged to have made a play for the ball. Cooper, Joint, good run from Joint, great run from Joint, support from Prescott, try for the youngster, excellent. Sensational debut last week for Steve Prescott. He continues it here tonight, his first for St Helens.
Great play by the young Great Britain star, Chris Joint. Throws the dummy. You can see that the forwards have held off. It was Tim Street that was at fault there. He did not shuffle across in defence. But what a link up there from the fullback, Steve Prescott. That is a super try. But look at this. He takes the movement, feigns with the ball, and you can see that just a little bit too late. Tim Street, he was not in the line. You must push out in one movement to force the ball wide, and that's the result. A great try to the youngster Steve Prescott.
And what's more, Prescott, having kicked 4 goals for St Helens last week against Halifax, has been given the kicking responsibilities ahead of Paul Loughlin. Steve Prescott, an outstanding young player, one of many who's coming through into this game, courtesy of the academy, the under-18 competition. And he's now trying to turn his 4 into 6, and every picture tells a story. And Prescott, who was undone a couple of times by Mark Preston last week for pace, certainly showed plenty of pace then.
Oh, it's so good to see such a youngster fit into a side so well. That's what this guy has done, Steve Prescott. When a forward makes a break like that, the confidence that we must run through the side, but running through the veins of Steve Prescott there, his positional work there was sensational on the blind side. The break came, and they took full advantage.
So Hull restart, James Grant with the kick-off, and that came off Prescott's ankle, and he kicks the ball straight downfield again into the arms of Richard Gay. Thought perhaps there was going to be a kicking duel there, but Saints have decided to try and play Hull in their own half, obviously.
What super tactics again. We talk about confidence. He gets the ball, nearly makes a mistake, and said, let's get out of here. Already, we've got through 2 tackles, and Hull have barely got over the halfway line. Super play by Saints.
Let's pick up details of John Neal's injury. We saw him getting treatment. Bill Arthur.
It's not one for the squeamish, this. John Neal has had the nail ripped off his right thumb, and he's carrying on, but that must be really painful.
It must be painful. John Sharp, though, well tackled by the young fullback Prescott. That really does make your toes curl, doesn't it? He's had the nail taken off his thumb. Oh, dear. That's got too much meat on it, has it? No, big mistake! Oh, what a mistake by Riley, and James Grant scores! Well, it's gone from brilliance for St Helens to disaster in the space of a couple of minutes. And James Grant, his 6th try of the season, won't get an easier one.
Well, it all came about from that great run by the loose forward, John Sharp. Long ball out there from Hasler to his partner, Doyle. Doyle puts the boot, chip over the top there, and you'll see that Prescott's coming through, Villiers away, and Lyon makes a real meal of that. James Grant picks up the pieces. Now, if James Grant had not touched that, it would still have been a penalty because it was an offside situation. You'll see that Riley, this is a kick from Doyle over the top. They held off, didn't they? Vevers is coming away, and Riley makes a real meal of it, and it does actually touch Vevers. Didn't have to count, though. James Grant runs towards the referee, John Connolly, who at that point was pointing already. That was super play, but what a bad mistake from Mike Riley.
So, from being 6-0 down, Hull are back in the hunt here. It's 4-6, and this conversion attempt from Paul Eastwood. Left-footed and straight, but not quite the distance. Just faded under the post, and he's annoyed.
This is the best way to catch out of defence. A long ball from Hasler. Super stuff. Watch it. Oh, look at that. Misses 2 men out. Doyle, you can see that the sliding defence is caught. There were 3 St Helens players in a very small area, but Riley should have taken care of that. He didn't, and Hull are back in this game.
Big blunder by the St Helens defence. So often it happens, Steve-O, doesn't it, that a team scores a try, rather like scoring a goal in soccer. They go to sleep, and they're then hit with a sucker punch.
So right, because of the fact that it was a wonderful kick from Steve Prescott, but they just went to sleep, as you mentioned, in defence, and they've done it again.
That was Richard Gay following on from Rob Wilson's run, and it was the winger Gary Nolan who was halted. This is Danny Dive. Hasler is directing the operations in the dummy half position. He turns the ball on the short side to Tim Street. Marauding run from Street. Boiling up this one into quite a match. Penalty Hull. Interference at the play of the ball.
Professional foul there. The centre, Jonathan Griffiths, and the loose forward, Chris Joint. You'll see Griffiths pull across. Also, Joint drag him down. But how many times have we seen it this season? St Helens start off with a bang, scored a beautiful try, and then all of a sudden they decide to relax. And I mean relax in a defensive quality. 4 or 5 players have missed simple tackles. The message will be out from their coach, Mike McLennan, that's for sure.
Another great run there from John Sharp. He met that pass at pace, but this time the St Helens defence stands firm. Here's Tim Street with a rough house of a prop forward. Street. Lee, the club he left behind, missing him sorely. But he's already a big favourite here on Humberside, as is Jeff Doyle, who's in possession of the ball now once the 3 St Helens players get off him. Here's Hasler. Lovely ball to Dive. We expected that Hasler would take control of this match, and he has, certainly in the last 10 minutes or so. That's a loose pass, though. And Riley is there to try and bundle Gary Nolan into touch. The ball, though, comes free. And it's the brother Rob Nolan who has it. Little chip over the top, straight into the arms of Cooper. And here's Prescott again.
Great combination from the 2 Nolans. Gary Nolan there fought off 2 would-be tacklers who should have put him into touch.
Eastwood penalised, not allowing Prescott to regain his feet quick enough for John Connolly's liking.
You could see he had a second attempt at him, didn't it? Second bite of the cherry.
And the referee has said to both sets of players, get out of the way once the tackle is completed and let's get on with the game. He's made his intentions known. Here's Dannett. The referee blew the whistle then as Dannett received that ball and he stopped. And I think the referee had blown for the match to restart because there was an extra ball on the pitch at one stage. It confused Dannett. It didn't confuse Hull. Midway through this first half, Hull 4, Saints 6. Important game for Saints, important game for Hull too. They're 9th in the table, they're on the fringe of the top 8. Dwyer to Vivas to Cooper. Cooper on a diagonal run. Couldn't get round Jackson, he released the pass and it was too risky. He should have taken the tackle then, the Saints captain.
Well, they've created a gap, haven't they? And that was a silly pass. It went to ground. The St. Helens player just got his fingertips to it, but Hasler, like a little rabbit there, just getting at that ball.
Jackson, Neil and Dannett. Clash of 3 of the prop forwards. And here's the 4th, Tim Street. Gets away from one tackle, but he can't get away from that one from John Neal.
You get the impression that the little prop forward Tim Street has decided to take the world on, hasn't he? He's having a cracking game so far.
And here's Jackson, fed there by Richard Gay. Exciting stuff at the Boulevard, this. Dixon, sharp, quick hands. Wilson continues it on. Last tackle for Hull. It's with Hasler. Chip over the top from Hasler. It came up trumps for them. It's nearly done again. Oh, almost a big blunder by Prescott. The youngster breathes a sigh of relief.
Oh, sucking the air there. Oh, he knew he made a mistake. And luckily, the right foot just dragged it behind him and took away the danger. And who was there again? James Grant. That nearly was another gift for the Australian Grant.
It's an obvious tactic, isn't it, Steve-O? They're plainly using it now.
Well, we said before the game that they've been decimated, haven't they, in the forwards, Hull. There's no point in trying to take St. Helens on down the middle, get it out wide, which they're doing, and use the kick.
And Hull are really enjoying the majority of possession, even though they're behind on the scoreboard. And they're in the danger zone again here, with Chico Jackson, the prop forward. Joint it was who completed the tackle. Here's Tim Street. He finds Hasler. Hasler fires out a long ball to the centre. Grant on a lovely run. Calls the winger inside. Hasler again. Hasler! Try! Oh, that's great play from the Aussie. He hung on and waited. The tackler committed himself and he stretched out the arm and the ball hit the whitewash. It's a great try.
What a tremendous fight back from Hull. 6 down, they come back. Set pattern move with Street. It was Hasler that went round through the dummy. And Grant, oh, he caught the man opposite Jonathan Griffiths out there. He's not a centre in my book, and he showed it then. He went far too low, too early, was handed off, and so did Hasler, another one. Reaches out. That's a try, right on the line. Super positioning by the referee, John Connolly. But there you could see Griffiths. He went down too early and too low. Beautiful pass inside. Nolan steps away. But look at this for a little fella. Get out of the way, young Prescott. I'm going through. Reaches. It's a try.
Well, he's 32 years old, is Des Hasler. 12 Australian Test caps. And he showed a welter of experience there. Paul Eastwood then had the direction but didn't quite have the legs. With his last kick, this is a lot closer. Difficult angle for the left-footed kicker. Oh, and it went in off the post. Oh, another side relief for Hull, but they have the lead, 10-6.
Hasler's done the runaround with Street, and once again the long ball out wide. That's the man that he hands off. Super play, watch this. Long ball, goes low straight away, commits himself, enough for Grant to push him away. calls the wingman back inside, Nolan. And Mr. Dynamo himself, the test hero for many years for the Kangaroos. That was a super try.
St Helens, meanwhile, have made a substitution. Gus O'Donnell has come on, and John Neal is the man who's come off. He, of course, had that nasty injury. His thumbnail has been removed, or at least is certainly not intact, and he is in some discomfort, although, to be fair, he didn't look that happy about coming off.
Well, John Sharp just knocked on 10 metres from his own line. Saints have the head and feed. Gus O'Donnell is on. The man that Steve-O tipped before the match might well come on early on here, and so it's proved. And here comes Chris Joynt. Now Griffiths. Still going Griffiths, but bundled to the floor by Grant. Dwyer gets the ball away to Nicol. He ran straight at Hasler again. And Desi Hasler with that try. Remember, he stretched out the arm for it exactly the same way that Roy Powell did for Bradford Northern last Sunday. Cooper, meanwhile, couldn't stretch the arm out long enough.
Just a little one. It did not baffle the referee, John Connolly. Cooper gave him a big, long, hard stare. But the TV doesn't tell a lie.
10-6, Hull ahead. 26.5 minutes gone then. Saints with a 6-0 advantage. Hull have hit right back. In possession now from the scrum with Hasler. Let's go downstairs. The Hull captain, club captain, Steve McNamara with Bill Arthur.
Steve, this is a terrific fight back by Hull.
Yeah, it was a little bit disappointed to concede that try early on when we thought we were on top, but you know, 2 good tries, and against the wind we're really in the driving seat at the minute.
And that first one by James Grant was a sheer piece of opportunism, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, a mistake by the young fullback there, but you know, that's part of the game, and we were just glad to take the opportunity.
Now, when you were looking at the replay there of Des Hasler's try, you did raise your eyebrows a bit.
Oh, a little bit, but I think it was a fair try. I was just amazed really how he managed to get himself over.
But given that you're out, Mark Jones is out, a couple of others, it's a terrific performance so far.
Great performance, you know, we've got 15 players playing today with a real lot of pride in the Hull FC shirt. They're going out there just to do the business, they're doing the basics, and they're doing a good job at the minute.
Yeah, they're doing the business, they're doing the basics, there's no doubt about that. Prescott again plays that ball with his feet, tries to run it out, and the chasers have arrived. A worried man, as we have got just 12.5 minutes left of this Stones Bit of Championship battle here at the Boulevard. And Mike McLennan, the St Helens coach, watching on Steve-O with a furrowed brow.
He's got a few problems, that is for sure. At 10-6, once again he's seen his side get off to a flying start, and then they go to sleep. They've got to really step up a gear. But let's not take anything away from this Hull side. They came out with all guns blazing. They meant business. And the tackling stint has been great, apart from one lapse which allowed Joynt to go through to create the first try. But other than that, they really have worked tirelessly.
Interesting, too, that they are playing with the wind at their backs. They haven't really yet used the kicking game to its full advantage, have they? Given the ball plenty of air.
Well, on 4 occasions, they've always kicked towards Mike Riley's corner. But on the occasion where they got their first try, they've used a little grubber kick. It's a ploy that has to be used these days, especially with the tight defence as it is.
Here's Tim Street, having a wow of a first half. Street finds Hasler. He hands it on to Dixon. Saints are a little ragged at the moment. Hull are running this show. The high kick, another tester for Prescott. He diffuses the bomb, took it confidently, took it cleanly.
Well played by young Prescott again. You could see there he kept his cool. That's what it's all about, your composure. He knew that they were bearing down upon him. He really is a star for the future, isn't he?
Bernard Dwyer, 2 tries from him against Halifax last week. Hull have watched him like a hawk. Here's George Mann. Big collision with the Frenchman, Danny Divet.
Well, you talk about the kicking game, Eddie. St Helens have to start reverting to it. They're going too far, much one-out football. Get the ball downfield. Let's get out of here.
Every time Andy Dannett gets the ball and is brought down, there's a big cheer from the patrons of the Threepenny stand here at the Boulevard. Loughlin in at dummy half. He finds Gus O'Donnell. O'Donnell hoists that ball high. Prescott's after it. Richard Gay takes it, though.
Well, it's been super play from both fullbacks, hasn't it? Richard Gay there, being honed in by the opposite number, Steve Prescott. Composure again.
30 minutes gone, first half, and a fight has broken out. Dixon is involved for Hull. I'm just trying to work out who it is for St Helens. Was it Jonathan Griffiths? I believe it was. Griffiths and Dixon fighting like a couple of terriers. And Dannett's being pulled away behind the screen there.
Well, it was just a little push with the knee. Dixon didn't like it. Didn't like that either. He says, take that. Obviously done a bit of boxing. The hooker Dixon, you could see that he ducked right under it. Bit of a skirmish there. Rightly so, John Connolly. And you can see a few scratches. Let's hope that they were not intended to go into the face deliberately.
That was a bit of a rough and tumble between the two of them, and I think John Connolly, is he going for the top pocket? Well, I think Griffiths is, yes, he's in the sin bin. Jonathan Griffiths takes 10 minutes to cool his heels. And now will he put Dixon in the bin also? Touch judge is pointing him out, the little Hull hooker. It was his first punch, but Griffiths is most certainly in the bin. What's more, Mike Dixon will join him.
Well, a message will get through to the two players, and let's hope it gets through to all the entire team on both sides. Retaliator so often gets the blame, but Jonathan Griffiths went first. You can see there that Mike Dixon suggesting that he went for him after the play of the ball, and he did. They're pretty hyped up, these players these days. Doesn't take much to just set them off. The steam. Whoa, let's hear the whistle of the blow.
Penalty to Hull it was anyway. And Dannett and Street are now eyeball to eyeball. Well, both sides down to 12 men. But the heat, I don't think, has been taken out of this just yet. Here's James Grant again. The Australian skips away from man. His run draws applause from the Boulevard crowd.
Well, I know they're both down to 12 men, Eddie, but Hull will be really relishing this because St Helens, they're losing their cool.
We had such a big match for them. It's a big match too, as we've been saying all night for Hull. They're on the fringe of that top 8 situation. Somewhere that their coach, Roy Simmons, believes that they should be. There he is, Roy Simmons, in communication with the bench downstairs.
Well, I know he works very hard with the Australian Roy Simmons. He would have been studying videos for many hours. And quite frankly, so far what we've seen in the first 33 minutes, he must have come up with the fact that he felt that Mike Riley, because that's the man that they're kicking to at all times, they think that he's a weakness.
Dannett was surrounded by 4 more players there. The ball came free and Bernard Dwyer picked up the pieces. Here's Chris Joint. This is the last tackle and Saints are running it. And Joint's pass out wide to Sullivan was just too high.
Oh, that was super play by Chris Joint. He's made some good runs so far. He really left the centre, Rob Nolan, stranded. But the pass wasn't the best, was it?
It was on the last tackle when that ball went out, so it's the turnover. Hull back in possession and in the St Helens half of the field with Paul Eastwood. 8 years here, over 300 games. Dannett and Eastwood squaring up to each other. Must say, Dannett is making a mark on this game, all right. even if it's only in the confrontations between him and his former teammates.
Well, his fellow team players could perhaps lift their game and take a lead from both Dennett and the loose forward Chris Joynt, because they are the only two forwards really that are taking on this whole side. You have to work as a team, and St. Helens aren't doing that yet.
Another long pass from Hasler. This is James Grant again. He's done Riley for pace. Wonderful try. Hasler with the long pass again. He's undone St. Helens once more in defence, but Grant, didn't he motor to that corner?
Once you've worked the hard work, throws the dummy, does Hasler, and again the magical long ball, missing the man out. You could see the winger come in, centre come in there, in and out, and look at Riley, he was flat-footed. He knew he was going to get there. That is a great try. Super stuff from the Australian James Grant. But what a great pass again from Hasler. Throws the dummy. You see how the defence went across. And they went through it. George Mann went through. That's how the overlap occurred. When someone comes out of the line, you can't slide across quick enough. The result, a try. And James Grant second for the game.
He's the only Hull player to score 2 tries in a match. He's done it now twice this season. But Hasler, the magician with the long pass out wide that split the St. Helens defence and created the chance. And now Paul Eastwood. 1 from 2, and this is the most difficult. Tight on the touchline on that far side. And as the Australians, and we all know from that summer tour in '92, Paul Eastwood does not rush his conversion attempts or his penalty kicks. 113 tries and over 1,300 points, including 500 goals, but not a goal there for Eastwood. 14-6 though. Hull suddenly take a real grip on proceedings.
Notice how George Mann comes in here trying to take this man, but Hasler once again the long ball, and this is the result. Look at the gap there, in and out, the sliding defence nowhere. Riley was flat-footed, could not get back into top gear, but Grant could. They're playing great stuff, Hull.
They've been searching for consistency all season. They began poorly. They failed to win any of their first 3. They lost at Wigan and Castleford, drew 18-all against Halifax here. But they've won 3 of their last 4, and now they're on the fringe of the top 8. And they'll be in the top 8 if they continue this tonight. And St. Helens, Steve-O, could be well and truly in trouble in the big league title race.
That there is no doubt, unless they get their act together. They've got to roll up the sleeves, that's what it's all about. And start tackling and not leave gaps like that. The second marker was non-existent there.
Eastwood, left-footed under pressure from Vivers, and Eastwood didn't like the challenge. Gave Vivers a bit of a backhander, and the touch judge spotted it, I think.
Well, I thought Vivers had committed himself there, and that wasn't called for by Paul Eastwood. Put the right elbow straight in the face of Phil Vivers. And I think we'll find that it's going to be a penalty to St. Helens. It committed itself as Vivers. That's it. Well done the touch judge. Combination with the referee. Let's see more of that. Silly play by the winger Paul Eastwood. He thought he was going to get the penalty because he thought it was a late tackle, but he knew. Eventually the touch judge and the referee John Connolly worked well together.
Tell you what, Steve-O, your criticism of the referees on boots and all last night, it certainly is ringing in the ears of the referees in this country, I can tell you from the reaction I've had today.
I've got no complaints with that man. Not tonight, anyway.
There's still time. Gus O'Donnell to Vivers. He finds Nicol. Not seen much of Nicol, that's better.
St. Helens really have got to get something buzzing from round the dummy half position. A little bit more running from the hooker Bernard Dwyer, and maybe Gus O'Donnell getting in there.
Here he is, O'Donnell. He finds George Mann. Certainly the 2 second rowers, Mann and Nicol, have been almost anonymous here tonight so far for Saints. O'Donnell Vivas gets the ball away to Sullivan. Sullivan, a diagonal run, but Hull were alert to that danger. Good tackling by Doyle and Eastwood. Here's Dwyer. He finds O'Donnell. O'Donnell chips it straight into the arms of Dive. But he was going nowhere then, O'Donnell.
Not the best of kicks, but well played by the Frenchman, Dive. Took it well. Well, it was a pretty hard tackle. Des Hasler went down sideways, twisted on it. There you can see, there's nothing wrong with that. Hasler had not gained possession. Sonny Nicol allowed to do that. It wasn't a flop. Just caught the little half-back awkwardly.
That's good defence from St Helens. Hasler's all right, fit again, will carry on. But Hull are pinned near their own line here. Joint and Dannett, the tacklers, on Gary Nolan.
So important for St Helens to get back the 10, not give away a silly penalty. They've got to put pressure on Hull now.
Another long ball from Hasler. He's done that all night, hasn't he? James Grant couldn't get away then. That's better for a man. We're in stoppage time, you'll notice, in this first half. Dive gets the ball away, and Eastwood says, let's get out of trouble, and judge that to perfection.
Come on, he says. And after a kick like that, he's every right to turn to his players and say, let's stop messing around. This should take us into the half-time break.
Bit of stoppage time, of course, because of, apart from anything else, the fight involving Griffiths and Dixon, who are still off the field, still in the sin bin. Here's Loughlin, another of the St Helens players we've seen little of first half.
I think that's only the second time that Loughlin has actually received a pass.
O'Donnell, Cooper on the run around. He finds Nicol instead. Tries to get away from Jackson, can't get away from Street. This is a super tackling stint by the Hull forwards. Dwyer again. 2 tries last week against Halifax, none here tonight for Dwyer, and nowhere for him to go. Cooper. Loughlin. That's the third pass for Loughlin tonight. Gets away from Hasler. He had Nicol steaming up on his inside. Hung on instead. Last tackle for St Helens. Drop goal specialist is O'Donnell. Thought about it for a moment. Hoisted the bomb instead. Gay takes it with confidence and ease.
Oh, super take. Confident there, wasn't he, Richard Gay? He knew that Jonathan Griffiths was honing in on him.
Griffiths, by the way, and Dixon back on, and Griffiths straight in the action again. And Gay is hurt. Deep in stoppage time, Dixon. But Gay is all right. It's a great take from the Hull fullback. That's Nolan. There's the half-time siren. 3 minutes of stoppage time played. What a good half it's been for Hull. They went 6-0 down. They came back and bounced back with 3 tries. And James Grant scored 2 of them. Good half again from Steve Prescott, but it's Hull who've caught the eye against a team desperate to stay in the title race.
Seize the day.
You're watching Sky Sport.
Stealing the ball rule is one of league's most recent rules. The would-be tacklers cannot attempt to snatch the ball away once a player has been deemed to have total possession of the football. You can see how number 11 has taken possession. Notice how player number 12 drags the ball away. Players are not allowed to deliberately strike for the ball either. Here you see the hand used to dislodge the ball. A clear infringement of the rules.
Half-time here at the Boulevard, 14 points to 6. Grant with 2 tries, Hasler the 1 goal from Eastwood, and St Helens off to a flyer with a try and goal from Steve Prescott. Well, Hull have had to fight back, and fight back they have, Steve. What a tremendous effort from the lads.
Well, we knew they'd go out with all guns blazing, and that's what they did. They tackled extremely well in that first 15 minutes, and they put St Helens under a lot of pressure. It was only the first break, really, that Chris Joynt went through. In fact, it was the first clean break that St Helens had in that first half, and they took it to full advantage. It was a beautiful link by their fullback, Steve Prescott. But so often do we see St Helens take it to the start and then just drop, fall asleep. This is a beautiful little play here. Tim Street caught out there a little bit. The prop forward very slow to make that line. There you can see. But what tremendous vision by the fullback Prescott. He knew that if the break was there, he was going to score that try. It was excellent play. But then, as I mentioned, Hull just drove back. A little bit of luck. Lady Luck went against them, but of course against St Helens, should I say. But it really was the fact that the way that they got back into the game, because they started using the kick. They thought that there's a little bit of a problem on the right-hand side, and they put St Helens under pressure, and it paid off.
This is the James Grant try, his first.
But look at the pass from Hasler. Long ball out wide. He is just absolutely, well, he's just killing St Helens' defence, puts them under pressure there. But this is an awful mistake from the fullback, from the winger Riley. There you see, and Grant on hand to take it. It's what it's all about, is a kicking game. You take your opportunity, kick the ball through, and away you go. This is a run around there, and look at that. Hasler got the ball out wide there, and you saw there that Griffiths just went down a little bit too early, a little bit slow there. George Mann came in, that created the overlap, but they keep the ball alive. Super play. Only a small man Hasler there, but look how he fends off, reaches out. The other arm didn't hit the floor, so therefore the tackle was not made. Good try.
We heard Steve McNamara off the touchline say he thought there was a little bit of doubt about that try, but the camera proves conclusively it was on the line. Good try.
Well, he probably thought that the other arm was actually on the floor, but it's the arm that can in the ball that counts, and he reached over. It was a great try. They really have played some scintillating football, and their defence has been good apart from quite a few times. But look at this, the dummy and the run round. Great play. Super stuff. Long ball out wide. Missing on there. George Mann comes flying through. Grant in and out. Riley is flat-footed. They've done their own work well, of Hull. They realise that there is a problem on that right-hand side for St Helens. And unfortunately for Riley, they're putting him under a lot of pressure, and it's paying off.
As you said, Royce Simmons, the Hull coach, he must have done his homework, because he has, every time that his players have got the ball, they've pumped it towards Riley. He thinks he's a weak link.
Well, it's obviously, the thing is that we haven't seen Anthony Sullivan being involved in any defensive play at all. They've just kept well away from him. They realise that Sullivan can defend pretty well, and they feel that with a youngster there, Prescott at the full-back, in combination with Riley, keep the ball coming across to it. You have to play to what the coach tells you. We're only just assuming, and we shouldn't assume, but that's how it looks to me, and it's paying off very well.
St Helens, they're facing again their most important 40 minutes of the season now, aren't they?
I think so, and I think that what we said before the game, that we've got to get Gus O'Donnell in amongst there, getting into the dummy half, not just taking one man and bringing people across. They've got to start working hard, roll up the sleeves, and I'm sure that that's what their coach, Mike McLennan, will be telling them in this half-time break.
Well, are we seeing the end of St Helens' title dreams tonight? It might be only December, it might be a bit premature to say that, but if they lose 4 before Christmas, they'll be in a bit of trouble, I think, to push Wigan and the Warringtons of this world all the way for the big league title. Des Hasler's had a big game, hasn't he? And it was that long arm of his that scored that try. More second half.
Seize the day.
You're watching Sky Sport.
Half-time at the Boulevard. Hull 14, St Helens 6. Great fight back by the men from Humberside. 6-0 down they were. And the possession statistic there tells its own story. It's been 60-40 Hull's match so far. 57 tackles from Hull, 89 from the Saints. Only 5 scrums, 3-2 to St Helens. Penalties level pegging 6 apiece. And the Saints have made 4 handling errors to Hull's 1. That will please their coach, Royce Simmons. Almost an error-free match so far for Hull. Des Hasler has certainly been the man who has unlocked this St Helens defence. He's a big favourite in this part of the world now. This tonight is his 12th consecutive appearance since his debut at Castleford in September. And this fella isn't too unpopular either. James Grant, double try scorer first half. 40 minutes then, and what a big 40 minutes for St Helens. They've got to get back in this match. They've got to get back in it quickly. Steve, I'm sure that's what Mike McLennan has said.
Yes, but let's do the basics right. Do the defensive. The basic skills is what it's all about, and they've got to just work at it. Work, and hope that Hull tire. They have the firepower, St Helens. Don't worry about that, especially with this man. But haven't they kept him under control so far?
St Helens have a penalty. I think Jeff Doyle was using the elbow.
No, he's got the other way.
George Mann is using the elbow.
Well, it doesn't always have to be the tackler that is the culprit, the man carrying the football. We see it so often that undetected. Well, it's a nightmare for St Helens so far, isn't it? Running the ball. See, there is the movement of the elbow into Jeff Doyle's jaw. Not happy with that, John Connolly.
So it's a penalty to Hull, and this time in the second half, Hull have got the wind at their backs. And you notice there that George Mann has got a bit of a thick lip. He's had 2 stitches in a wound during half-time. No excuse for use of the elbow. John Connolly was quickly on the scene, and Hull, with the wind at their backs now, Eastwood from this range would look to improve that kicking record here tonight. That's the angle he has. Well, this one has not got the direction, and what's more, it hasn't run dead, so St Helens can run the ball out themselves. Okay, let's go downstairs then, and let's see what has been said in that St Helens dressing room half-time. Their assistant coach Frank Barrow with Bill.
Frank, was there some tough talking in the Saints dressing room at half-time?
Oh yes, there had to be, because our defence round the play of the ball is all wrong. We're not bringing the 2 outside men in quick enough. We're letting them come from the play of the ball, and that's where we're making our mistakes.
And your forwards don't appear to have got into the game really yet.
We're not moving in at all. We're not moving in quick enough at all. We've got to move in quicker, and we've got to tighten up round this play of the ball. That's what they're doing. They're coming in round the play of the ball, and then they're swinging it out to Hasler and letting him take over.
And if you're going to get back, you've really got to get a score on the board early on in this second half, haven't you?
That's right. So we've got to get it moving a bit more to the backs now, and let's see if we can put pressure on them.
A worried Frank Barrow. No wonder he's worried, because this is the ground really where St Helens' championship ambitions evaporated last season, and after the opening half here they're disappearing down the tubes again. Tim Street enters the St Helens half of the field, tackled by Cooper and Nicol. Dixon back to Hasler. He looked round, did Hasler, for the support. It was there in the end from Gary Nolan, and Cooper wraps him all up. The tackle is completed with Nolan on his feet. Here's Hasler once more, really has run the show. Des Hasler has kicked downfield. Prescott waits for it to settle, picks up, only makes 10-11 metres. 32, Steve-O, but evergreen.
Super display from Des Hasler. Back to his best. Some great game for his old club in Manly in Australia. And of course for Australia in the test sides. He really has settled in well. Last couple of weeks he's started to take control. Very good thinker indeed. And unless St Helens can pull something out, he's going to be a problem to them all this second half.
No wonder Roy Simmons went on all those marathons, was it, to raise the money to pay for Hasler. Last tackle for St Helens. They're still deep in their own half of the field. O'Donnell gives it some air to try and relieve the pressure, but Richard Gay will run it straight back. Good chase from O'Donnell, though. There's Hasler. Perhaps we should call him the marathon man after Roy Simmons' exploits on the roads of this country this past year.
Well, he could do the marathons time and time over, could this man. He's one of the fittest blokes I've ever seen in any sport.
Lovely step from Dixon. He went past Dwyer then. He sidestepped O'Donnell. He couldn't get away from Sullivan though. Quick attack here from Hull. Hasler again. Jeff Doyle. The runner is John Sharp. Hit that ball at pace. The support arrives from Richard Gay. Oh, and if Gay could have got the ball away, centre Rod Nolan was sniffing. Here's Divey. Big man going for the line. And he's just held up by that Saints defence. Desperate moments for the Saints. Hasler, another long ball. Brought Grant into it. Ball outside. Whistle's gone. Forward pass. No try.
Super positioning from the referee, John Conley. He's dead in line with that, and that was forward. Grant tried to get the ball out wide, but weren't St. Helens stretched once again. Oh, they've got big problems in this sliding defence. It's just not working, and they're losing their cool. Jeff Doyle didn't like that. Riley shoved it to him. Doyle swung a little right hand into him. Now that's the sort of thing that Hull should not be doing.
And that's something St. Helens shouldn't be doing. Lever's kicked it, not fine touch. That's a big mistake. Gary Nolan picks it up for Hull. Hull have picked up second half where they ended the first. Divey with another run. Here's Tim Street, shoulder to shoulder with George Mann. Two more close in, Dannett and Dwyer to bring Big Tim Street down. Dixon the dummy half. Hasler is the runner. Sharp is there, misses him out, finds Gay. Hasler on his own this time from dummy half. Good ball. That's Wilson. The tackle from Cooper, it had to be safe and sound. It was. No one standing in front. Wilson takes it on his own. Poor ball in the end, though. St. Helens come up with it, courtesy of George Mann.
Wilson opted to take the ball to himself on the last tackle. Des Hasler wouldn't be happy with that. He wanted to get the ball up into the air. George Mando played the soccer and picked up the possession.
7 minutes second half. Sonny Nicol is having a little chip at one or two of the Hull players, beginning to lose his rag a bit. Dannett losing his feet and talking to Jackson. That's been going on all night.
It's been simmering, and it's not forgotten. Silly penalty, grabbing the leg. They're just losing it a little bit, Hull. And it's all coming about because there's this niggling. They're talking to each other. You see just a little dab there with the knee. That was enough for John Connolly not to like it. Hull leading 14-6. This has to be a golden opportunity for Saints. They are desperate to score.
8 minutes second half gone. Anthony Sullivan wants to get on with it. Touch judge gives him the ball. He gives it to Dwyer. We'll restart. Dannett with the run. St. Helens have now registered 50 tries in the big league this season. But they are on the receiving end of a beating at the moment here, and they're trying desperately to rescue this match and keep their title ambitions on course. O'Donnell, Vivers, Lachlan is there. The ball from him, not the best. Prescott picks it up first bounce, finds Riley. Was that a Shepherd? No, referee says play on. Looks like he used Griffiths as a shield then, but the referee said he was happy with it. Dwyer, Cooper, Mann picked that up off his toes well, finds Sullivan. Sullivan, the former Hull Kingston Rovers player, of course. Son of the legendary Clive. Dannett, ex-Hull. Dwyer, O'Donnell. The bomb swirling in the wind. Eastwood's under it. Eastwood wheels it in.
Took it well on his fingertips there, did the winger Paul Eastwood. Nice kick from O'Donnell. That's the type of play that they've got to put. They really have not applied any pressure to the Hull defence so far in the quarter.
Divey now takes the ball out of the danger zone for Hull, relieves the pressure with a good pass, keeps the movement going. That's James Grant. He's on a hat-trick. The Australian centre. Not many Hull players have scored hat-tricks against the Saints over the years. We've searched the record books. The last was Steve Evans in '85. Before him, Paul Prenderville in 1983. Prescott with the run. Gets away this time from Hasler, but Rob Wilson was there to close the danger down.
They're the right tactics from Hull, the kick downfield and the quick chase. St Helens will get tired of just dragging this ball back up from their own quarter. Time is against them.
Nice ball from O'Donnell. It released Dannett, who in turn has released Dwyer. Dwyer tried to hold it up for Sonny Nicol. Knock on both sides. Doyle couldn't hang on to the loose ball. Referee will play the first.
Well, it really wasn't on. You could see there that Sonny Nicol had actually overrun Dwyer. Frustration. And not surprisingly, with the scoreline there, Hull 14, St Helens 6.
Good days at the moment for Hull. They picked up their first victory away from home at Lee last Sunday. Their first victory away from home in 14 months. I wonder if that will be the moment when Hull's season turned round. This is a great display here. Dive has run strongly all night. Gets the ball away to Hasler. This time St Helens alert to the danger.
He's at a top second half as the second row, Danny Dive. But you can see the spring in the step of Hull now. They really want to get over this advantage line, and they're making it.
Jackson, he finds Dixon. Dixon back to Hasler. Hasler back into where all the prone bodies are. Gets the ball away. It's going Hull's way at the moment. Wilson picks up. He's tackled by Vivas. Now Jackson, left-footed, dabs it forward. There's a big race on here. Oh, and that was good defence. Well, Mike Riley made up for it that time. Or was it Brett? No, it was Riley.
Well played by Riley there. He spotted that very well indeed.
Yeah, Mike Riley came up with the blunder in the first half, but he saved a certain 4 points then, because Gary Nolan was bearing down on that ball that was pushed through by Jackson. That clearance hasn't gone far. Hasler will turn the screw again. On one knee, gets the ball away to Richard Gay.
But hasn't the kicking game from Hull really put St Helens in a lot of worry? They've had problems all night with it.
Dive's had a big game. The Frenchman with the Australian accent was playing against the Kiwis for his country in Carcassonne 2 weeks ago. Here's Tim Street, the Hull player with the Lancashire accent. Great run from the barrel-chested prop. Dixon is there, the dummy half. Back to Dive. Quick hands to Hasler. Hasler hauled down by Mann. It wasn't high. The tackle was across his chest. Wilson's directing operations at dummy half. Here's Nolan. Rob Nolan through. He's got support from Gay. Gay drops it, and Gay drops 4 points.
You can't believe this. Nolan has made the break. And it was Sonny Nicol that got the fingertips to it. That's what saved the try. The fingertips of Sonny Nicol have kept St Helens still in this game. Well, it's obviously the coach, the referee, John Connolly, didn't see that, what we saw on the replay.
Here's Griffiths. Cooper, the dummy half. Loughlin. It's a super tackling stint, this, from Hull. Chris Joint. Big running forward for St Helens. He hasn't had only one opportunity, that's all night. Other than that, nothing.
Yes, full credit to this Hull defence, but it's time now, I'm sure, that St Helens have to start moving players around. Perhaps bring Jonathan Griffiths in the number 6 position and stand off and try to work something with Gus O'Donnell. Change the halfbacks. It's just not getting out there. It's too slow. They're bogging themselves down, the Saints.
Hull are certainly warming up nicely for the Regal Trophy tie against Widnes. Look at the tackle count. St Helens are working overtime to try and keep them out. St Helens have a big Regal tie too against Warrington. Wilson.
Well, for a makeshift pack, when they've got a second rower like Anthony Jackson at prop, haven't they worked well? This guy, he's led the way with some great charges, Tim Street.
Well, the £100,000 that Hull reportedly paid Lee has kept the bottom club in the big league alive, but money well spent. Here he is again. No wonder Leeds were after him. Tim Street's had a big game here. Doyle to Hasler. Chip over the top. Sullivan's there. The ball bounces unkindly again. And a good job once more that St Helens player. And is it? I thought it was going to be Riley, but it isn't. It's Sullivan.
No, that's the first time they've kicked to the left side, putting pressure on Andy Sullivan, but we mentioned earlier that the whole kicking game has been superb. The little dab through, and Sullivan made a meal of this. He missed it completely and just got the fingers to it with the right hand. They are in all sorts of trouble when Hull decide to put the foot to the ball. St Helens just go on the wobble.
Saints are against the wind as well, second half, so these clearances from under their own posts are not getting any length on them at all. This is Rob Wilson, big collision with Cooper. And Tim Street, he's been on the losing side only once since he came here. Once in 4, and the way it's going tonight, it'll be once in 5. Because this is a heck of a performance from Hull. Dive loses the ball. Nicol picks up the pieces.
First mistake there from Dive, who was being swung round with the arms. He just couldn't hold on to it.
Good ball from Cooper. Almost got Prescott away, but Rob Wilson with a very good tackle. Here's Ducky O'Donnell. He finds Bernard Dwyer. And Tim Street takes Dwyer. He was the second man. O'Donnell again. Oh, there's no cohesion in the St Helens team tonight.
Well, he called for it. Gus O'Donnell said to him, come short. And Nicol decided at the last minute to come back on the inside. Lack of understanding. They really have lost their way. They've never been allowed to get into this game, really.
Big match in the Stones Bit of Championship at the top of the big league. It's going to be a little ominous for Saints if they lose tonight. And at the moment, Steve-O, there are no signs that Saints are going to get into this match.
Well, we said before the game that Hull surely wouldn't play in a forward game, but they've built so much in confidence at the half-time break. All they're doing now is using their forwards. I thought that St Helens pack would be far too strong and fast for them, but it's been the other way around.
The long pass was inviting for James Grant, but he just couldn't get to it. He was under a bit of pressure as well when he received the ball.
One of the few passes that Des Hasler hasn't completed.
St Helens going to make a double substitution. Andy Dannett coming off, much to the delight of the Hull supporters who've given him a really hard time on his return to the Boulevard. John Neal goes back on, and off comes Mike Riley as well. On goes young Andy Haig, the 18-year-old who went on the Bala tour down under during the summer.
O'Donnell, this is a better run from Saints, but he's dropped on halfway by a great Richard Gay tackle. There's our first look at the big league on Andy Haig. And we'll take a look now at this penalty.
Good run there from Gus O'Donnell, has gone into the half-back position. That's the type of running that they've got to look towards. Silly penalty from Hull, though.
John Neal back on. That sore thumb. Cooper to Mann. Get out the way, he says. But Dive wouldn't, and neither would Street. This is better for St Helens, and they have a penalty.
They're caught offside. They never made any attempt to go back to 10. The penalty will go there. You can see they played the ball so quickly. There was a man either side. There you see, they were not standing in front of the play the ball. You cannot make that tackle. He never made any chance. It was a second rower, Danny Debay. He had moved back, but he didn't move back far enough for the likes of the referee, John Connolly.
And I think St Helens wisely, at 14-6, will hopefully, if Prescott has brought his kicking boots with him on the coach from Merseyside, they will take the 2 and they'll get back to within a converted try. Had a big season in the reserve team, and the kick is successful, so Saints creep slightly closer. First points of this second half. It's 14-8. A try and a goal. That's all that separates the two sides now.
That'll be a great lift in the confidence of St Helens, and boy, oh boy, they needed it. They were losing the way, but it was Hull who gave away 2 silly penalties that allowed St Helens to advance 40 metres downfield and pick up the 2 points. Anxious moment for the St Helens coach, Mike McLennan.
Hull are not in any particular rush to get this game restarted. 14 points to 8. Hull lead. St Helens will have to put their foot on the gas in the remaining, I'm trying to do my maths, 18.5 minutes. Nickel.
Glad you didn't ask me, Edward.
Dwyer's the dummy half. This is John Neal. Dropped on the halfway line. John Sharp doing the tackling.
What a ball and all tackle from Sharp there. That shows the enthusiasm.
Cooper. Griffiths. Just couldn't get away from Nolan or from James Grant. Prescott to Cooper to Beavers. Beavers drops one over the top. Eastwood makes a play for it with the boot. It's play on now.
Anxious moments for Hull, penned in their own quarter. This is where they have to use the common sense and use the wind, use the big kick.
Not a bad prop row forward, is he? Prop forward rather for a second rower. Sharp makes the mistake. The errors are starting to come on Hull's side. Griffiths with Grant all round him. The captain drops the ball. Hull back on the rack. Here's Andy Haig. Another one of the promising youngsters, only 18. Warrington born, Andy Haig. Oh, big mistake, Chris Joynt.
Took his eyes off the football there. He was more intent on looking for the man coming on the inside for the pass.
Pressure, pressure, pressure.
See there, he was trying to go out wide and bring someone back on the inside.
Hull on the halfway line. Jeff Doyle plays the ball to Mike Dixon. He finds Tim Street. Another splendid run from Street. Look at him go. Good tackling, Prescott. It had to be. Hasler gets the ball away. It's Nolan. Rob Nolan, the centre. Hasler again, aiming for the corner. Hasler! Second try, Des Hasler. The Aussies have come up trumps for Hull tonight.
Beautiful run from Tim Street. What a great night he's had. Talk about the road to success. How about the street to success? He kept his cool, a quick play the ball. Hasler saying, come on, let's get into it. He takes on the blind side. If you go high on 2 occasions, 3 occasions, you pay that price. And that price is 4 points and probably the game. You can't go high on a little fella like this. You've got to get his legs. The little whip, it's going to get in.
Des Hasler. The man, Royce Simmons, ran round and round and round for. And he ran straight through the St Helens defence there, and who knows, he may have ended St Helens' chances of the big league title. Eastwood hasn't kicked well. And having said that, Eastwood will now deposit this between the sticks. But with Hasler and Grant in this sort of form, who needs a goal kicker? When close, not close enough. But it's 18-8, the gap 10 points.
Quick thinking by Hasler. He takes to the blind side. Look, you can see two St Helens players running, and Loughlin is out. When you do a banana defence, you finish up with a wide gap. And this man, but you've got to go low. Look at him skirt there. One high, two high, three high. High, high, high. 4 points.
Yes, they should go low, low, low. Someone made a song about that, didn't they, once? But what a run from Street, what a game he's had. If you lose 4 matches before Christmas, it's a big ask to come back and win the title. And we see St Helens' championship ambitions disappearing down the gurgler here at the Boulevard. Dixon, Hasler. Hasler has got some pace for a 32-year-old. He's taking them all on. Prescott's there. Oh, Prescott does well. But Hasler's there to finish him off. Great run, Hasler, leading by example.
Well, great play by the youngsters team, Prescott, but you've got to admire the skills and the energy from that man. He's a veteran, is Des Hasler, but he took him on the blind side. He wanted to take on Anthony Sullivan. Sullivan's no slouch.
Jez Cassidy has come on for Danny Divet, one of the substitutes in that under-21 international against the French last night. So an under-21 international for a Frenchman. And for those of you who like us to keep you informed with what happens in the world of rugby league, because perhaps your paper in your part of the world doesn't surprisingly deal with this sport, Great Britain under-21s won by 28 points to 16. It's play on for St Helens. Nicol. The ball was charged down by Hull on the kick through. Referee said play on, wipe the tackle count clean. And it put Nicol onside, even though Nicol was way, way in front of the kicker, and he's in possession now. But after all that good work, I was going to say he lost the ball, but he had it stolen from him.
There was no man marking. He was stood to the side there. You must stand in front. Well, is this the last throw of the dice for St Helens? 10 points adrift.
This is Nicol. I say when the referee, this is a chance here. It's a try.
It came off his knee.
Chris Joint with the try. Hull, I think, stopped and waited for the knock-on, and they're having a word with the referee, Connolly, but the ball bounced off his knee, and he just dropped on the loose ball.
Well, Lady Luck can shine on you there. They did the switch move, and the big second rower, look at him. He's fighting his way through Sonny Nicol. He wasn't tackled, kept going. The ball was down on the floor, and it did come off the knee of Chris Joint. That is play on. Well, we mentioned that St Helens were desperate for the score, and they've got it. This game is not over yet.
Not by a long way. A try here last season for Chris Joint. Important conversion from Prescott right in front. Our Saints coming back from the dead for the second week running. Just 4 points in it. 18-14.
Well, look at this. They couldn't bring the big man down, could you? And there you see quite clearly, off the shin or off the knee, that is play on. No hand touched it. No fingertips either. Well, St Helens have barely been in the Hull quarter for no more than 4 or 5 occasions in the entire game. And now we see ourselves with a thriller in the last minutes.
Rob Danby, who was involved in that Great Britain under-21 win last night, is on. Tim Street, who's had a storming game for Hull, has come off. And with us is Russ Walker, one of the injured Hull players. Russ, now really is a test of character for your side, isn't it?
It certainly is. I think we've dominated the game so much tonight. We've done all the little things right, especially in the first half. We control the ball, we've tackled really well. The defence in the second half's been really good, but it's just these daft penalties we keep giving away.
And with 4 points in it and about 10 minutes to go, it could get a bit tight.
Certainly can. Obviously, there's no room for mistake from either side now. Obviously, we've got to get our defence right and play them down there under the field.
Well, these are a big last 10 coming up. The referee, I think, is having a word with the touch judge this time. He's given the penalty again. Now, he gave the penalty against Hull on Nicol not long ago, and they scored the try.
Well, Des Hasler was facing the wrong way. He was not interfering. He was just trying to pull away from the tackle. He can't believe it. Well, we saw St Helens have lady luck shining them against Halifax to make that draw. Looks like it hasn't deserted them yet. Look at that. Hasler's just trying to pull a wall away there. That's how I saw it. That's not the way that John Connolly, the referee, sees it.
Or his touch judge. Connolly looked to the touch judge, took advice, and gave the penalty. They're now waiting for the ball. Here we go again. Neil unloads the pass to Dwyer. Cooper to Vivers to Mann.
Well, this really would be a travesty of justice if St Helens got away with this.
9-4 on the penalty count. 18-14 on the scoreboard. Knock on, I think. This time, Nicol has been caught with the knock on.
A good ball and all tackle by the two halfbacks, Doyle and Hasler. The impact when Nicol hit the ground. See better from this angle. Just shut us free, but look at the impact down and lost it. Tried to drag it through, but the referee was in a great position.
Yeah, he was spot on. Seven and a half minutes to go, plus stoppage time.
Surely Hull, their coach Roy Simmons would be saying to them, let's get out of here, get the damn ball kicked downfield.
St Helens have started to play, haven't they, in the last quarter of an hour? John Sharp has been playing all night. So have Hull. What a comeback this will be if St Helens pick up the 2 points here. They haven't played well, they'll be the first to admit that, but they're in with a big shout in the last 7.
They have not been allowed to play well, that's the difference.
Yes, it's been a great display from Hull. And there's the kick downfield to relieve the pressure from Eastwood. Prescott collects it. Then he is wrapped up by Gary Nolan and Hasler.
That's the tactics they needed.
Possession has swung in St Helens' favour. It's come about in the last 15 minutes. Chris Joint has started to run straight and strong. Dwyer, Cooper. Cooper thought about releasing the pass to Loughlin.
The legs are getting very tired in this whole defence now.
That's a good kick downfield from Vivers. Gay read it well, though. Surrounded. Well, if this is good, hang on to your hats on Sunday night. It's Castleford-Bradford. Remember, Bradford leads last Sunday. What a belter we've got in prospect on Sunday evening. Meanwhile, Richard Gay needs treatment.
Not surprising with the right arm that came in from Jonathan Griffiths.
Jackson gets the ball away to Dixon.
He's played his part as well, hasn't he, the hooker Mike Dixon. All the whole side deserve praise.
It's been a great effort from them. And these two young kids on as substitutes are backing up after the under-21s last night. There's Danby. Both of them took a part in that under-21 international. Here's Rob Wilson, another man who qualifies. There's a ton of youngsters in this Hull side, and they're all playing well. There's an old head there too, and he's playing brilliantly. And his name is Des Hasler.
Let's get out of here, mate. That's what he'll be saying. And he's done the right thing. The two kicks have applied that pressure, telling his side now, defence, defence. That is going to be the key.
Danny Dive has come back on, and John Sharp has gone off. Sharp taking a breather for the last 5 minutes here. What a time to leave the field with your team ahead by one score of a try, and the captain goes off. Griffiths. 4 minutes to go. 18-14 Hull. Andy Haig for St Helens. Cooper. George Mann. Misses out O'Donnell, finds Vivas. Danby's there. Vivas gets the ball away, basketball style, to George Mann. 3 Hull players close him down. Prescott to Cooper. John Neal. Not the best kick.
Well, with all the talent that St Helens have in the kicking department, to find their prop forward Jonathan Neal in a position to do that, that will not please anybody on the St Helens camp.
That tackle will from Neal. There's a big hit on young Jez Cassidy, and Hull have lost it. But Hull have got the penalty. The ball was stolen, and Cooper picked out by our cameras there. The referee right again.
Not the referee, but it was a touch judge as well. It's on the blind side to referee John Connolly. Looked to the touch judge. He could see that Cooper, he realises that time is ticking away. It'll be close the shop up now from Hull. It won't be pretty, but I'll tell you, the smiles will be in black and white, and the gloom on the face will be in the red and white.
Dive back on without the scrum cap now. Dixon gets the ball away. Jackson. There's the smiles in black and white. Roy Simmons enjoying what he's seen. It's been a great display from his men. Hasler, Eastwood. Eastwood taking all the time in the world. Dixon, scampering little run from Dixon. Last tackle. 8 meters short. Hasler again dabs the ball forward. Prescott has to shuttle it dead, and every kick that's been played into the in-goal area has wreaked havoc.
Who needs a bomb when you can put the little grubber kick through like that? We've said it time and time again, but it really has put that under a lot of pressure.
Another short drop out from under the post. St Helens against the wind and against the odds now. Entering the last minute of this Stones Bidder Championship battle at the Boulevard, and Hull finishing the stronger.
And the crowd, they're singing Old Faithful, the victory song.
Dive gets the ball away, and so close he didn't get the ball away. I thought he'd slipped the pass. Here's Hasler. Now Jackson. It looked for all the world as though that pass had been slipped by Dive, but that pass was certainly slipped and straight into the throat of Jonathan Griffiths.
Well, probably the worst kick of the night from Des Hasler, but look at the tenacity of the defenders, straight through, keep them in this quarter. The crowd are whistling. but there's still plenty of time. We had a few stoppages in this second half.
Long pass out wide, Sullivan! Anthony Sullivan's got some pace! He's through one, the support is there, it went forward a mile!
He took the gamble, did Sullivan, but it was the wrong option. It should have been the kick. He knew that the cover was coming to him. Referee John Connolly, really Johnny on the spot. He's had a super game. I'm afraid that man took the wrong option, but it's that gamble time, isn't it? The hearts was in the mouths of the Hull fans, and I'm sure the Hull players, but they don't deserve to lose this one.
The St Helens players then were claiming that Eastwood just laid on that ball and took the involuntary tackle, but it doesn't matter, it's all over. Hull have won a famous victory, and Des Hasler, certainly the man of the match, but you could have picked any of the men in black and white. An excellent night for Hull, a desperate night for St Helens. Have we witnessed again on Humberside the end of St Helens' big league ambitions?
Seize the day.
You're watching Sky Sport.
So a great win for Hull. They've beaten St Helens by 18 points to 14. As we made our way from the gantry to the studio here at the Boulevard, the Hull supporters said, for goodness sake, give them some credit for that. We most certainly will. An excellent display from Hull tonight, and in particular their scrum half and inspiration, the Australian Des Hasler, talking here live now with Bill Arthur.
Des, that really was an inspired performance from Hull, wasn't it?
It certainly was. I thought our forward pack, they had played extremely well and truly above themselves against a class pack like St Helens, and they certainly laid the foundation, and the back certainly carried on from there. But a win here was worth 4 points to us, and it's just extremely good to be part of. I was very, very proud of the boys.
Now, people are maybe going to look at your first try where you really had to stretch for the line. You got there, didn't you?
Well, they say in tennis if you raise the chalk, it's in, so I think the chalk was raised on the try line, but I'll take 4 pointers any way they come.
Was it a bit nerve-wracking at the end when they got their game together in the closing minutes?
Yeah, they come back. They're a side, St Helens, that can score from anywhere on the park, and we knew if we just had to maintain it and keep putting pressure on, we could come away with it. To a credit, the tactics paid off, running into the win in the first half and placing the ball in their corners and coming home in the second half. But the first half did it all. I think we had the ball 19 times and we held it for 18 sets of 6, and that's what set it up for us.
Was this the most satisfying victory of the season so far?
I think it's definitely probably the best the sides played under circumstances where we had 5 regulars out, but a good side's got to do it every week, haven't they? And that's what we've got to do.
And you kept it going for 80 minutes. I mean, the talk was that you'd been playing for 60, but you couldn't last the pace.
Well, that's it. It's the difference between a side that's going to go somewhere in the competition and the side that's just got to make up the numbers, and we realised, a couple of games, particularly against Featherstone, where we didn't play for the entire 80 minutes, and it was one of our goals today, and, to the side's credit, we played the full 80 minutes. Cheers.
Certainly did play the full 80 minutes, didn't they? Des Hasler, the Australian, the inspiration, as we say, for Hull. And Steve-O, in the 80s, there was another blonde-haired halfback called Peter Sterling who used to weave the magic here. Can you compare the two?
In many ways, yes. I've always believed that if you're going to buy an Australian or an overseas import, you've got to get someone not only that's going to win you a game with something spectacular individually, but someone who will create. Someone will create something as a team. And that's what Hasler's done today, not only in his passing, but in his tackling and also in his kicking game, which proved very, very crucial today.
No wonder Roy Simmons went on the runs for him. All those marathons in the summer, eh?
Well, it certainly was worth it. I know that he wanted that particular man, and he was after Hasler. He knew that he was the man that could perhaps lift them. It's taken him a while. It's taken him a while to get into the scene of things, mainly because they've had quite a few injuries. But he's shown tonight that he was the key player. He was the man that they wanted. And after this display, it makes you wonder why Hull have been so slow in starting away. Their defence was excellent. and yet they've got one of the worst defensive records in the big league. It's an amazing thing that we've just seen 80 minutes where they've shown so much commitment, so much dedication, and they've tackled their hearts out.
They have indeed. They've come up with the win. Des Hasler was one Australian who most certainly caught the eye. An Englishman who caught the eye was Tim Street. Another Australian who caught the eye was James Grant. He too, like Hasler, scored 2 tries. And Street, but first Grant, now with Bill Arthur.
James, the crowd's reaction says it all. That's a terrific win.
Well, Royce responded in the press by saying we'd like a good crowd out here and a lot of support, and we really need it because we had a lot of injuries, and you know, we showed some good character there tonight to play against St Helens the way we did because they're a good team.
Did you surprise even yourselves?
No, we've trained really well all week. I think we can match it with anyone on a given day. Like, we've got to be consistent and keep putting performances on the park, and you know, we've let ourselves down on a couple of occasions, but tonight we really stuck to what we do best and just plodded away and didn't try to do anything fancy because we're not that sort of side, and we came up with a good victory.
The try that got you back into the game was the one that was really presented to you on a plate, wasn't it?
Well, you know, I don't really recall much what happens in the heat of the moment, but you know, our first half was very good because this is a pretty strong wind, and we had the ball 19 times and held it for 18 times in that set of half, which is a really good effort by any standard. So, you know, that's why we had so much pressure on St Helens.
Thanks a lot. On to the man of the match, Tim Street. And Tim, that was a storming performance from the whole pack, wasn't it?
Yeah, we're all psyched up. We brought a lot of young lads in for this game and they all played brilliant. Ross got us all psyched up and ready for it. Moved up, tackled them and come away with a win.
And you seem to have settled in really well since you moved from Leigh.
Oh yeah, it took some settling in, but the lads have been great, the fans have been good, coaching staff, and I hope that's a few more winning games we're going to have.
And do you think this win is really going to set you up for the rest of the season now?
Definitely. We played well against Featherstone, and second half played well against Leigh, and hopefully we can carry on from there.
He's a long way from his home base in Lancashire, isn't he, Tim Street? But he's the Humbersider with a broad Lancashire accent. And Steve-O, they've taken him to their hearts here, haven't they?
Well, they have, and he played exceptionally well. He was the leader. He took them through. It was a tremendous display, especially in the second half. We said before that there was going to be a problem with the pack, but they have just taken St Helens apart, especially in the second half.
Look at this from Street here.
I mean, tremendous there, but the main thing about it, he wants to go down with a possession. He knows that it's so vital. They've got to keep possession. They didn't have to panic, and it paid off for them.
That was the run that led to Des Hasler's try. I mean, a tremendous display from Hull. Hasler ran it. They all looked so eager, and they were all saying, actually, round us on the way over to the studio, they want us to come here again, because this is the best performance they've had all season.
Well, they may have said that to you, Eddie, but quite a few of them didn't have the same opinion. But it was a tremendous display from Hull. Let's not take anything away from them. It was a tremendous display, and I'm sure that this will do wonders into the Boulevard, because they've had quite a pretty rough trot for a long, long time, and perhaps people will now realise that their coach, Royce Simmons, is a very, very good coach indeed, because that's what won it today. He worked hard. He knew exactly what to do, where to kick, and what to get behind the St Helens defence, and it came off.
St Helens don't know what comes next for them, but they've now lost 4 before Christmas, and that's a big ask if you're going to come and pick up the big league title at the end of the season. OK, let's take a look at what's coming up next for you on Sky Sports. On the big league, well, first of all, we're back to Castleford against Bradford, Weldon Road, Sunday at 7 o'clock. That's when our match kicks off. The kick-off in the game, of course, 3:30 in the afternoon. Next Friday, or a week on Friday rather, subject to the Regal Trophy, Widnes against Bradford from Norton Park. We'll have to wait and see whether Widnes and Bradford survive in the Regal Trophy or whether they can play that big league fixture. Hope you've enjoyed what you've seen here tonight, though. A great game again on Friday nights. There's something about Fridays.
From the Sky Satellite Network, this is Sky Sports.
Crossing swords at Bramley, the second division strugglers, another club in crisis. Will they drop out of the league? Bramley need help, and they go face-to-face with the City Council. The way to Wembley's got underway. Cardiff Institute was one of 64 amateur teams to aim for the Twin Towers at the weekend. Highlights coming up. And what a way to spend your day off. But if last Friday's anything to go by, it works. The unbelievable training routine of Hull's Aussie halfback, Des Hasler. And a deal to put a smile on the face of the game. New sponsorship is announced that will help the under-19s over the next 3 years. Now then, since his return to the Rugby League playing arena on Saturday, Steve-O has been inundated with offers. Most of them, I'm afraid, came from his teammates. Despite them all, he returns for boots and all this week. We have exclusive highlights for you later of Saturday's important clash on Castleford's training ground. Also, as usual, the review of the papers. Now then, Steve-O, apart from your high tackles, what else has been making the headlines this week?
Thankfully, a lot more important issues than me swatting a fly off a bloke's nose. The poor old Saints coming for plenty of flack from both the press and the fans. Widnes shared it all about. Banford blasts the council. Bramley faces a ground crisis head-on. And Sheffield kicked their coach all the way back to Aussie.
And I fancy one or two headlines about that tie as well in next week's press. Well, no big league weekend, I'm afraid, on Sky because of the third round of the Regal Trophy. So, the chance for us to reflect on last weekend's programme now. Highlights from the latest chapter in the story of the race for the championship. Cooper, Joint, good run from Joint, great run from Joint, support from Prescott, try for the youngster, excellent. Well, here's Tim Street, he finds Hasler. Hasler fires out a long ball to the centre, Grant. Grant on a lovely run, calls the winger inside. Hasler again, Hasler, try! Oh, that's great play from the Aussie. Another long pass from Hasler, this is James Grant again, he's done riding for pace, wonderful try! Hasler gets the ball away. It's Nolan. Rob Nolan, the centre. Hasler again. Aiming for the corner. Hasler! Second try, Des Hasler. Castleford boasting the best attack and best defence in the big league. They're fourth in the table. Bradford third. Only Castleford have scored more points than them. Here comes Newlove with the run. He's away from Ellis. Can he get away from Stedman? Can he get away from Stedman? Yes, he most certainly can. That's a magnificent Paul Newlove try. Good moments here for the home side. Crooks. Oh, Nick Hour, big collision with Burbank. Kevy. Oh, what a mistake from Kevy. I don't believe that. He played the ball side-footed into the arms of Ford. The line was begging there for Newlove. Here's Fox. Heron. Heron with a dummy. Still going. Heron. Out to Cornell. Try for Cornell.
The encounter between Widnes and Halifax was always going to be an absorbing battle at Thrum Hall, and so it was. Bobby Goulding cleverly opening up the Fax defence for Devro to touch down for the Chemics first. And the men from Norton Park extended their lead just 5 minutes later, when Carl Hammond picked off an ambitious Michael Hagan pass, and he set David Myers off on a 70-metre dash for the line. Graham Hallis making sure the conversion wouldn't be easy, but Goulding still did the business for the Chemics and extended their lead to 12 points. At this stage, the Widnes forwards were winning the battle up front, but then the curtains opened on the John Bentley Roadshow. Admittedly, it was a beautifully timed pass from Hagan, but Bentley still had a bit to do. And it was Hagan again who picked up the ball off the ground, drew his man and released Bentley to weave his way to the corner. Incredibly, Fax had fought their way back to a 14-12 half-time lead. Ironically, after all the skill and guile of the previous tries, the deciding score came from a mistake. Christian Tyrus spilling out the ball in the tackle, and Gary Devorty must have thought Christmas had come early.
Almost a local derby at Watersheddings as Oldham and Lee met for what at the end of the season could prove a vital result. The Ruffiads got the ball rolling as Darren Abrams sliced open the Lee defence and raced home. 6 minutes later, Oldham extended their lead. Great vision here from Wally Gibson to grub the ball into space, and just when Abram looked to be in for his second, Scott Ranson sneaked in to put his name on the score sheet. It was 16-0 at half-time. 3 minutes into the second half, Oldham well and truly stamped their authority on the game. Some sloppy Lee defence, Wally Gibson with full advantage of it, and Darren Abram decided to play the same trick on hooker John Clark that he'd just been party to, sneaking in for the second of his 4 tries. Lee weren't going to be denied though. Standoff Scott Martin accepting a pop-up pass from Glyn Davis to race to the line. And then the floodgates really did begin to open, and Oldham started running in the tries from all over the field. Ian Green, who'd come on after Tiny Solomona had broken his arm, went in for the first of his 2. And with Mike Kuiti's try to add to the tally, Oldham certainly aren't looking like a side bound for relegation. Sadly, the same can't be said of Lee. And Salford's bandwagon kept on rolling on Sunday. Andy Gregory's move from Leeds is paying dividends for the Red Devils, though after just 2 minutes, the wheels on that bandwagon looked like they were coming off. Wakefield's Lee Child with the first try. But Andy Gregory was running the midfield for Salford, and the Red Devils always looked the more likely winners. Gregory's astute pass finding Peter Williams out wide, and Paul Forber in support to score. 8-6 up at half-time. Salford took a grip on proceedings in the second half. Terry O'Connor is developing into quite a player, and his run and pass to Jason Critchley, who then traded passes with Gary Jack, and Critchley scored in the corner. And it was another move down Salford's right wing that produced the next try. Burgess and Forber combining, and Gary Jack running through the cover to score, but Wakefield won't be happy with that defence.
The pressure on Doug Lawton was eased last Sunday as an impressive Leeds display blew away the Eagles. Gary Rose smashing his way over for the first. But the silly mistakes did creep back in, and Lee Jackson was on hand to exploit them and show that his poaching skills haven't left him. At half-time, it was 11-4 to Leeds, and after the break, Gareth Stevens added to the Leeds tally before Jim Fallon produced the try of the game. Taking the ball on his own 22, he shimmied and sidestepped his way to race home for the score. With the match effectively over, Leeds were able to relax a little and show the kind of rugby they're capable of playing. Graham Holroyd putting Ellery Hanley into space, and that old magic didn't let him down.
But it was Warrington who kept up the pressure at the top of the table against Featherstone, and Greg Mackey's cleverly weighted kick produced the first try for the ever-improving David Elliott. And it was the little Australian halfback at the heart of the move leading up to the next try, but Kelly Shelford's pass was perfection, as was Rob Myler's finish. Trailing 14-2 at half-time, Featherstone hit back in the second half. Tooter's pass and Brett Daunt in for the try. But the championship leaders weren't to be denied, and it was time for a Jonathan Davis special. Gary Chambers making the hard yards, Davis picking up the loose ball, and then he had the pace to beat Pearson and the Kiwi Ivor Rapati to the corner. Warrington now at full steam, long passes, split defences. Watch these three. First Mackey to Ellis, then to Shelford, and even longer to Davis. And Davis, well, he slipped the short ball out wide to Myler. A great try. Warrington looking good.
The champions Wigan, though, will take some stopping. Despite missing several regular faces, they tore Hull Kingston Rovers to shreds. A great run from Sam Panapa from a standing start, and Martin Afire high-stepped it to the line. Try number 299. Some fine play now from Wigan, deep in their own half. Botticher and Clark on the interchange, and a lovely step from Botticher to leave 4 men in his wake. Clark backing up, and then Panapa from 30 metres out with the pace and strength to beat Richard Oliver to the line. Rovers' best moment came in that first half. Wayne Parker and Gary Chatfield involved in the pass to Mike Fletcher, whose run broke the cover, and despite having Barry John Mather on his back, Paul Fletcher was able to make it to the line. The match was all wrapped up by half-time. Wigan led at the interval 36-6, and whatever Paul Fletcher can do, his opposite number, Dennis Betts, can match. Taking the pass from Botica, he stumbled to the line and wasn't to be denied. Wigan relaxed in the second half, but still had the power. Botica to Panapa, and Gary Connolly was coming through at pace. Young fullback Andrew Craig sidestepped his way to the line. And the Rovers' defence and Sam Panapa gifted try to substitute Paul Stevens. Stevens able to dive unopposed to the line after the Kiwi had taken out 2 defenders. Wigan were caught cold by quick thinking from dummy half by hooker Richard Chamberlain as the Rovers fought to restore their pride. Now, if you're going to score your 300th career try, you might as well do it in style. Martin Offiah has played less than 250 games since he arrived on the scene in '87. This length of the field effort is typical of his style, though Wigan will be hoping the hamstring has healed by this weekend.
Top of the table, Warrington still out in front with Wigan and Bradford tucked in behind, and that match in hand is the Fog Abandoned game at Odsal, which is now set, depending on the Regal semi-final, for January the 5th. At the bottom, little changes for Leigh or Wakefield. Oldham's win against Leigh eases their position slightly. Salford now have won 3 out of 3 since Andy Gregory arrived, and they are climbing away from danger. Well, now to our second division pick of the week. Highlights on the way from Keighley against Workington.
The high-flying Keighley Cougars put early pressure on Workington Town at Cougar Park on Sunday. John Walker crossed for the opening try following good work from Ian Gately. But that was the end to their scoring for the afternoon as Town fought back. On 29 minutes, Dean Marwood set up a strong position for hooker Jonathan Gawley to spot a gap and force his way over. The conversion gave Town the half-time lead, and after the interval, they were to extend it further. A superb looping pass out from Wayne Kitchen sent flying winger Stuart Cocker over in the left-hand corner to give Workington a 16-4 win and 2 valuable points in the title race.
Results from Division 2 now. Batley 14, Barrow 6. Carlisle 26, Rydale York 32. Doncaster 34, Rochdale 12. Highfield 16, Hunslet 30. Huddersfield 20, Bramley 6, Keighley 4, Workington 16, Swinton 6, Dewsbury 28, Whitehaven 16, London Crusaders 16, and one result from last night, Rydale York 0, Huddersfield 8. Which means that Huddersfield have strengthened their position at the top of the table. London, courtesy of that draw with Whitehaven at the weekend, are second. They're a point clear of Keighley and Workington, who have the match in hand. At the bottom, Bramley's season of woe continues, and we have a special report of their plight, by the way, a little bit later on in the programme. Well, action all the way tonight, you know, because there was an international fixture played exactly a week ago. The Great Britain under-21s took on France at Warrington. Highlights coming up, but, you know, all in all, it's been a great week for Youth Rugby League. As well as the under-21s victory, there's been a cash boost for the academy setup for under-19s.
Great Britain under-21s were caught cold at Wilderspool last Thursday night as the French youngsters took an early lead through Cyril Baudoir. They were soon back in it, though, hitting back straight away with 2 tries in 5 minutes. The first, a long passing movement started out on the left by Gareth Stevens before Francis Maloney split the French defence for Wigan's Barry John Mather to score. Great Britain's next try featured strong running from captain Steve McCurry before Bradford winger Dio Powell showed great strength to force his way over the French line. After the break, Great Britain started strongly, hitting the French youngsters with 2 game-breaking tries. The first from captain McCurry after another rampaging run from man of the match Francis Maloney. The next try again displayed the Great Britain side's passing game, some lovely running rugby, resulting in a try for Warrington's local boy, Iestyn Harris. That was to be the end of the Great Britain scoring, however, the French side finishing the stronger to run in 2 tries that made the score more respectable. Flying winger Pierre Jamet went over in the corner for the first, and he was on hand again for the second to wrap up the French scoring.
The final score, 28-16 to the British side. And there was more good news for youth rugby this week with the announcement of a sponsorship deal for the players of the academy side. JJB Sports Chairman Dave Whelan is prepared to put his name and shirt on the future of youth rugby, whilst Maurice Lindsay hopes a matching government award will take the British game to new heights.
I think the concept of the academy is to try and develop the elite of our youth, the very best of our youth, and hopefully bring them through into the international side. And I think we all saw with the quality of play from Andrew Farrell against New Zealand in the third test, and indeed Jason Robinson in the first test, just what quality players the academy can produce. And on the other side of the coin, the sponsorship from JJB Sports and the support, the financial support of the Department of Heritage through their match sport scheme enables us to develop youth rugby across all the grassroots territories, which hopefully will give us more players from which to choose an elite squad.
Good days for the youngsters. Coming next, we begin making our way to Wembley. Highlights of one of the first round matches played last weekend, plus Steve-O's eagerly awaited review of the papers. Press Gang is next, so don't go away.
You're watching Sky
Welcome back. This is Boots and All, the programme where for an hour every Thursday night Rugby League is top of the bill. The race began for this year's Challenge Cup last weekend as 64 teams set out on the way to Wembley. National Conference sides and top amateurs locked horns in the first round of the competition that leads all the way to Wembley next April. The Boots and All featured match was Milford of Leeds against the students of Cardiff Institute. It might be a long way to Wembley, but it's certainly a long road from South Wales to Leeds, though the Welshmen arrived in Yorkshire brimming with confidence despite their long journey. The re-emergence of the 13-a-side code in the Welsh Valleys is so strong that the Welsh Rugby League have recently appointed its own development officer to help put league on the map, and the hard work has been rewarded with Cardiff's inclusion in this year's Cup competition. Another notable Cardiff inclusion is the ex-Salford player Rob Ackerman. Ackerman played for Wales against France, England and more recently New Zealand at Swansea. His influence would be invaluable, even though his choice of footwear wasn't. Most players would expect to walk out of the changing rooms and hear the cauldron of noise coming from the terraces. Not here. The changing rooms weren't quite in the vicinity of the pitch. In fact, they were a good 5 minutes walk away. The Cardiff players had to encounter the local traffic. Crossing the road, no problem, winger Stuart Jenkins acting as the policeman. A quick walk past the local parade of shops, and then followed by the highlight of the tour, tackling a mound of earth, and then a stroll across a patch of waste ground towards the match venue, Leeds Rugby Union Club. This is a far cry from Wembley Stadium, but this is what the Challenge Cup's all about, the first steps on the road to Wembley, and that famous day in April. Cardiff's Challenge Cup dreams and aspirations weren't far away now, just enough time for players to stretch a few muscles before the kick-off. It was the home side, though, who started off the better. A neat passing move involving Steve Tate and Andy Toulson nearly sent in prop Mark Buttrill for the first score. But it was the visitors who drew first blood, with standoff Gareth Davis kicking the penalty to give Cardiff the edge early on. The lead was short-lived, however. Good play by scrum half Mark Gibson sent in Mike Smith for the try. Ben Snape converted, and Milford was 6-2 up at the break. Ackerman stressed what Cardiff needed to do.
And we're going to play good football, all right? That's the most important thing, possession.
But Cardiff couldn't do what Ackerman asked, and it was Milford who took control of the game in the second half when standoff Tate scored an impressive solo try. Snape converted to extend the lead, and it was stretched further when Tate went over for his second of the match, collecting his own neat grubber kick through to score. Snape converted once more, but Cardiff reduced the arrears. Great run here from Rob Ackerman, and then Pete Ashworth bursting through to score a consolation try to make the final score 18-8. A disappointed Ackerman summed up his team's performance.
We gave the ball away too many times in the tackle and indiscipline on a number of occasions. Boys going into touch on the first and second tackle cost us dearly, I think.
The Silk Cup means Wembley, it means the St Helens and the Wiggins, it means that it gives us a chance to be part of that tradition.
Now the results from the Challenge Cup, and you'll notice there that Blackbrook have walked over against London Colonials purely and simply because the Colonials couldn't raise a team on the day. Well done to Neil Haig's East Leeds team. We featured Neil on the programme last week. They've beaten Kells, and also Hensingham, who've beaten the National Conference leaders Hemel Hempstead. Further down the draw, Sid Miller is out, the 52-year-old who played for Norwest Co-op. His team went out against Red Hill. And what a draw for York Acorn and Oral St James, 32 points apiece. And well done to Clayton, who've beaten Nottingham, who this time last year were playing in the Rugby League itself. Now to the draw for the second round. And one of the leading amateurs, Wigan St Pat, take on Mayfield. And two sides from the National Conference, Askham and Chorley Borough, will meet in one of the matches of round 2. And lower down, well, we'll be following Milford and Earlham Hornets in that match, and then the winners will pick them up in the next round 2. All these ties, by the way, are to be played on the weekend of December the 18th and 19th. Well, we featured that important cup tie at Milford a few moments ago, didn't we? But, you know, the biggest game of the weekend by far took place at Weldon Road on Saturday morning. I'm afraid it made the headlines for all the wrong reasons, though, because as you can see here, Mr. Stevenson launched a vicious attack on the League Express production editor, Simon Jenkins, all because the lad was wearing an earring. Good grief, Steve-o, what do you say?
I've wiped baby's bottoms harder than what I did on that. Dearly me. And imagine playing in an earring. No.
Not impressed. You know, we've managed to unearth some historic footage of the day. It was the day that Sky Sports Bruisers began their campaign for big league status. Was that really you? I don't believe it, was it?
No, I think it was my brother. But it was a great day, and it was done for a good children's charity, so it was tremendous.
It was indeed, but I'm afraid we're all suffering a little bit with aches and pains, and how on earth we have recovered, I don't know. But Steve-o, well, he's just about got enough life left in him this week to jog to the paper shop, so here's his review of what the Rugby League press has been saying this week.
What a week for St Helens. Not only did they have to endure the loss at the Boulevard, they took plenty of stick from both the press and the fans. Sadly, some idiots in the Threepenny stand started to chant racial abuse, and we can do without that. But congratulations must go to the Hull officials, who quickly put out a tannoy message threatening them with ejection from the ground. Hull coach Roy Simmons then hit out at Saints after Gary Nolan and Michael Dixon suffered nasty eye injuries, which